Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to view my large-scale data analysis assignment. My name is Patrick Elston. I'm a special education student attending Mount Vernon Nazarene University. And without further ado, I would like to move right into looking at our assignment here. So just to set the stage a little bit, we're looking at a grade 3 reading data analysis set where students at a Lake Forest Elementary School had their scores compared to same age peers across the district and their scores. Now, we're looking at the area, like I said, just at the area of reading, and the way we've broken up the area of reading is by comprehension and reading fluency, and then combining all of those subtests together to give them a total reading achievement score. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice down here, as I've moved the chart down to the bottom to work on focus question 1 here, is that Lake Forest is performing much lower than their district-wide third graders. So we measured data over 3 school years from 2003 to 2004, 2004 to 2005, and then 2005 to 2006. Now, what you can see initially here in this data analysis set is that Lake Forest's performance does improve over time in total reading, and that there were some fluctuations throughout the district and Lake Forest, but the fluctuations that we've noticed in this data analysis set is that they mirrored that of the district. So I think the gap, and then we also noted that the gap between the district and Lake Forest did close over a 3-year span. So ultimately, whatever the school did to help the students improve did work initially at first. Students improved in their total reading from year 1 to year 2 very quickly, as you can see here, quite a substantial increase in almost about 10 scale points. Now, we did have a bit of a drop off in year 3, but still, if you look at year 1 compared to year 3, we still have quite an increase, maybe about 5 to 8 scale points at that point in total reading achievement. And I think what we really see, where we see most of the improvement, is in reading fluency. Now, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself just a little bit here, but a few cautions I would like to discuss is that this type of chart allows us just to see a change in subject matter, not necessarily how much improvement we made from year to year. This data doesn't give us a whole lot of information. There's not a lot of specific information to know how students are performing necessarily in their classrooms. This is just a one-time snapshot of student performance on this test, and we can really just this type of assessment would be used to ask questions about where we can try to fill in any kind of missing gaps, but we wouldn't know exactly what to do or exactly what to change until we actually got down to a more formative classroom assessment model, or we got down to an interim benchmark assessment model. So moving right into focus question 2 though, and looking at some statements that people might make about this graph and responding to those. So the first statement I want to look at here is that although scores fluctuate from year to year, overall Lake Forest School has made improvement in grade 3 total reading since 2003 to 2004. And I generally agree with that statement because a higher percentage of students are scoring a little bit better in total reading. As I noted, from year 1 to year 2, we saw the greatest growth, and then dipped a little bit in year 3, but we still had improvement from year 1 to year 3. Now, we need to be cautious though and make sure it's not misinterpreted again, because it is a large scale assessment. This is the largest snapshot of data that you're going to take. There are a lot of smaller subtests that could be run, or formative assessments, to really guide your instruction. So this test should not be used to make any kind of instructional decision. This test should just be telling the district or telling a school building where teachers should look to start focusing their instruction, not necessarily how they should focus their instruction. Just looking at areas and then starting to ask questions as to why students performed the way they did. I think it's really important to make sure we differentiate that. Now, looking at the next statement that could be made, compared to the district Lake Forest School, third graders have made progress in their total reading over this 3-year period. And I agree with that statement. There has been improvement, even though there was a dip from year 2 to year 3. The growth from year 1 to year 3 was much more improved. Now, again, you also have to look and think that and actually remember that these are different groups of third grade students each year. We're not following the same group of students from year to year to try and measure their performance over time. We are simply taking one snapshot at one point each year of a totally different group of kids. So there are bound to be fluctuations in performances each year. Now, the district total reading performance stayed consistent from year to year. While and like I said, there was a reduction already in year 3. I still think that we showed that there has been some improvement over time. Continuing on in this focus question 2 category, with the statement, compared to the district, Lake Forest School third graders have been making progress in their reading comprehension skills over the 3-year period. The statement is accurate, but the Lake Forest students did not make a whole lot of improvement in their comprehension scores. For the most part, we're looking at maybe 4, maybe 5 total scale points over a 3-year period. There wasn't a whole lot of fluctuation there at all. And as the district kind of increased their scale scores, so did Lake Forest as well. So Lake Forest mirrored the entire district in improving their comprehension scores. And looking at this last statement here for focus question 2, Lake Forest School's progress in narrowing grade 3 reading achievement gap compared with the rest of the district has been in reading fluency rather than reading comprehension. Now, I would agree that this statement is more accurate. The gap in reading fluency was narrowed the most. There was a reduction in the final year, but we still saw a narrowing there between Lake Forest and the district, because the district, and I think part of that though too is that the district did drop in their reading fluency score. So part of that is Lake Forest was making some improvement, but part of it also was that the district in the 3rd year dropped significantly compared to what it had been in the previous 2 years. So I wouldn't say that the Lake Forest necessarily caught up to them more than the district kind of fell down towards where their levels were at this time. Now, moving right into focus question 3, suppose Lake Forest School had started using a new reading program at the beginning of 2004 and the 2005 school year, while the rest of the district continued with the old program. The annual reading achievement test is given towards the end of the academic year, and then looking at these data, what are my thoughts about the new curriculum? And my quick reaction to this is that the new curriculum did benefit the students and teachers. On the surface, it appears to have helped progress in total reading achievement, and it has helped narrow the gaps between reading fluency and reading total achievement with the rest of the district. Comprehension still improved slightly with the new curriculum, but it didn't improve significantly. And it led me to wonder, is this new program focusing more on fluency? Because there was a lot of research and support for the idea that if we teach foundational skills and fluency skills, when students learn how to read well, comprehension will naturally improve on its own without a whole lot of direct explicit instruction. Now, it's not to say that comprehension instruction isn't important, but focusing on fluency, especially for 3rd grade readers to catch them up if they're performing behind same age peers, will help their comprehension improve over time as well. But more information and data is still needed, because I need to know what were the formative classroom assessments like, what were the instructional methods like in the classrooms to know if this program was effective for students. What were the interim and benchmark assessments like that helped teachers plan for their future lessons? There's a whole lot of information we can't pull from this chart at this time. We just kind of have to go based on what we're seeing, and generally I am seeing right now that the new curriculum probably is making some impact for these students. Now, looking at focus question number 4, for each of the following statements, they wanted me to agree or disagree and explain. Well, in the first statement, the first statement made about Lake Forest School is that they have not benefited from the new reading program since it was first implemented in 2004-2005. On the surface, it appears to me that it did benefit from the new program. It can't be completely concluded, though, because there's only a couple years of data. We need a little bit more data. I need more information overall, too. If that data had been accompanied by classroom assessment data, any kind of interim or benchmark assessment data, that would help me in making more of a determination. There's still a decline in skill scores as well in the final year of the provided data too. So while we improved that first year, we declined the second year. Can't quite make a judgment call. I can't make an absolute judgment call as to whether this program did benefit them. But I do believe that it did benefit them more than it did not benefit them, because it appears that they are working more on some of that those reading fluency skills that are essential for literacy development. Now, compared to the old program, the new reading program appeared to help students with their reading comprehension skills. And I kind of already answered this. Again, I continue to agree with the statement, but I am cautious about it. I just need to see more data and need to see more time of students using this program. Looking at focus question number 4, the scores move around from year to year, but the new reading program appears promising for enhancing students' reading fluency. And I generally, agree with this statement. Again, I've said it before, but at the onset of the program, there is reason to be encouraged because we saw a huge gain from year 1 to that first year of using the new program. And even though we saw a decline in the third year, it was still an improvement overall from year 1 to year 3. Now, looking at focus question 5 as we begin to get close to wrapping up here, are there any other possible explanations other than the effect of the new reading program that could explain the new patterns for Lake Forest third graders on their assessments? And I absolutely believe there are. This chart just doesn't include all of the information because, like I said, I don't know what the classroom instruction was like. I have no idea what assessments were used with them outside of this large-scale assessment. So I don't have enough information to totally say that this new reading program was absolutely the reason why they improved. Student population changes every year. We have different performers. We can have less or more performers. We may have more performers that have learning disabilities, which could result in maybe some lower scores. We may have more gifted learners one year that could result in higher scores on the end of year assessment. There's a whole lot that goes into it. We could have, some environmental factors that impact us. There may have been more cancellations due to more snow days. There could have been maybe a natural disaster such as schools in Texas last year experienced, where they were out of school for a couple weeks at a time when they were due to flooding. There are a whole lot of conditions that could impact this data, and we just can't necessarily say that this new reading program is the only reason for their improvement. And kind of wrapping up here, would I agree or disagree with the following statement that you can't be sure whether the program is having an effect because each year is different, is a different group of third graders? Absolutely. I can't be sure because every year we have different students, as I kind of hit on in the last part of the last prompt. Different students bring different qualities and different abilities every school year. The analysis of the student body is essential to interpreting data, and there's just not enough years of sampling to be certain right now if this new reading program is going to be effective in the long term. So just to conclude and wrap up my thoughts here, this data set allows us to see some possible student improvement and how this new reading program could impact students. This data, though, is not enough to determine whether it's a complete success at this time, because students change. The student body makeup changes every single year. We have, every year you could have, like I said earlier, you could have more students with individualized education programs and learning disabilities. You could have more gifted learning students. You could have a year where everything just kind of. You could have a year where there are more calamity days, snow days, and students not getting into school. So this data, and this really, I want to just kind of hit it hard one more time. This data should be compared to formative classroom data. We should be cross-referencing all of our research and data throughout school years with large-scale assessments, interim benchmark assessments, and we should also be looking at classroom data provided by teachers so we can understand the instructional practices and what students experience during the school year to really measure their learning. These are my references. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me at my email at patelston@learn.mvnu.edu. Thank you and have a great day.